back, guys. This is Automotive Anonymous, and that is one of the last Mustang GT premiums of the 6th generation. Its chassis code is S550, and for next year, 2024, there's going to be a 7th generation, the S650. So we need to decide, is it worth your time and money to find one of these 6th generation Mustang GTs, or should you consider the competition, or just wait a couple months for the 7th generation? Because the last one of these has already rolled off the assembly line in April of 2023. That was about a month ago. And so we're gonna do our typical review, our walk around, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 with the GPS, final thoughts, and all the specs to decide, is it worth your time and money, or is it a waste of money and you should look elsewhere? Big thanks to the Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow it for the day. Otherwise, let's dive right into this review. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, there's gonna be a couple horse references throughout this video, so seriously, hold on to your horses as we stampede on ahead. The S550 chassis has been around since 2015, now through 2023 is the final model year. There was a pretty decent refresh though. In 2018, it got the 10-speed 10R80 transmission, which this one has, which is fantastic. It shifts pretty quick compared to the old 6-speed. It also got a 25 horsepower bump, so this is pushing 460 horses. And then, if nothing else, the easiest way for me to identify it is the angled out taillights, which are pretty cool compared to the more vertical ones that I used to have, which is pretty impressive because an actual horse doesn't have taillights. This platform has remained really popular throughout every year of its model run. It sells between 120,000 and 50,000 units a year in the United States, which explains why everyone and their mom basically has one, because they're pretty dang good. But also there's a powertrain for basically everyone, whether it's the 6-speed manual that's carried throughout the whole generation or the automatic. You can also get your choice of engine. The 15 to 17 model years had the 3.7 Cyclone V6, and then the 2.3 EcoBoost or the 5-liter Coyote has also been an option in every single model year. But you know what? Wait, there's more. You could get the Voodoo 5.2 flat plane crank in a few years, as well as the Shelby Predator GT500, that's the supercharged 5.2. So there's basically a different stroke for every folk. These are pretty impressive for only being a naturally aspirated, smaller displacement 5-liter V8. They're rated at about 4 seconds flat, 0 to 60 when you have the automatic 10-speed like this, or a low 12 quarter-mile, which is pretty impressive. Today, with our density altitude, we're roughly a mile above sea level, and you'll see pretty soon just how powerful it still remains, even when you're at some altitude. But you know what else is impressive? The gas tank that's located right there on the driver's side. It's a 16-gallon tank. So when you're getting about 15 city, 24 highway, you're gonna be road tripping for about 360 miles. And why is that impressive, you say? Well, because an actual horse can only travel about 25 to 35 miles in a day. These are roughly 6¼ feet wide, 4.5 feet tall, and then about 15.5 feet long. So they're pretty average, but not too big size of a car. It can do a full circle in about 36 feet without spinning the rear tires. They weigh about 3,500 to 3,800 pounds, again, depending on configuration of transmission, options, engine, things of that nature. About 5.7 inches of ground clearance. And then a lot of final drive ratios that are in the mid-3 ballpark, depending on your configuration and which transmission you have. At this point, I know you're wondering, is this Mustang actually better than the horse, a Mustang? Or should I consider one of those instead? Well, let's look objectively for a minute. This you can get in the color gray, a horse you can't. Additionally, this is 460 horsepower. A Mustang only has 1 measly horsepower, and this has a gross vehicle weight rating of about 4,700 pounds. That means you can put about 1,000 pounds of stuff and people in your Mustang. Additionally, if you have a tow package on it, you could tow about 1,000 pounds, whereas an 800 horse Mustang can only tow a measly, okay fine, 1,200 pounds if it has a wheel, or carry about 160 pound payload. Can you imagine driving this without having any passengers? That's what you're gonna get if you buy the Mustang horse, but that's for you to decide. Bear with me, guys, we're about to finally get inside, but at this point, you've seen a lot of the exterior, you've heard a lot of the specs, and I wanna know, are you considering an S550, or do you rather be one of the early adopters of the new 7th gen S650? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Additionally, if you like Mustangs, if you like 460 horsepower, like this video, give it a big thumbs up to show your support. Personally, I think whatever generation of the Mustang you get, you're gonna be in good shape because you're buying a sports car from a manufacturer that makes a lot of mainstream consumer vehicles. So usually things are pretty human-centric, well thought out, and parts are readily available. So you can go to O'Reilly's and you can grab your F-150 parts and your Mustang parts, and some of them potentially are even shared. Especially where this platform is proven, it's in millions of trucks with that 5-liter Coyote, just a slightly differently tuned and exhaust manifold version basically. You can really find what you need anywhere. There's hundreds of thousands of these on the road, so people know the platform. The aftermarket companies have basically perfected it. And there's a lot of goodies that you can enjoy if you want this 6th generation, or if you'd rather wait and be an early adopter of the 7th gen. That's up to you. But last thing we'll mention out here, you get some Pirelli P0 tires. They're 255/40/19. The black wheel looks really good. And then you have remote start, keyless entry with the proximity key features there. And that's your remote, which is pretty darn cool. On the door panel, you get some really nice materials, but they're pretty dark in color. At least there's nice stitching. It's almost like a leather for the door card. And then you have a nice big chrome-like handle. But why such a small pocket? Why doesn't it extend out further, I wonder? Also, nice unnamed speaker with the chrome lining. Mustang with the horse on the door sill. Cloth seats, aluminum pedals. Seriously, Ford, where's the aluminum dead pedal? Come on, man. Airbags for the knee, trunk release, lighting options, turn signal, and high beam stock. And then those really nice leather powered heated and ventilated seats. But you know what it's missing up top? It's missing that giant glass roof that the earlier Coyotes offered. There weren't very many of those sold. I think Ford should bring it back. Sitting behind the reins of this GT Premium is a really nice place to be. We're gonna put our foot on the brake, fire it up with the red push button start, let it roar to life, and the needles do their little dance. The digital display actually looks really good. You can control it through the info button on the right of the wheel and see some more objective information, which is pretty cool. The horn sounds actually pretty adequate on this. And then you have all of your volume and voice controls, cruise on the left, navigation, Mustang mode, and then options to go through the display on the right. Everything's pretty human-centric designed. It feels good. You have pretty good visibility, and I really like the old school feeling dash with multiple 3D dimensions to it. It's honestly pretty cool. You can then go through the touch screen. It works pretty good. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, physical buttons throughout, which are really nice. There are the ventilated seats for you and your passenger up front anyways. And then there's your toggle switches, so if you want the hazards, done. If you want to turn off traction control, you can do that too. Otherwise, it's your steering modes and just your driver modes if you want to get into Sport, Plus, or Race, anything like that. Otherwise, you have a USB, another plug-in, a nice little pocket down there. The shifter is pretty cool. You have to push it down and then go through. But if you want to check out that rear view camera, honestly, it looks pretty good. The trajectory lines do move on it, so not too bad. Manual e-brake, a couple cup holders that are kind of like a brushed aluminum lining, and then you have the sideways buttoned center console. Because the transmission fits down here, there's not a ton of room, but you do get a couple more plugins and a place to store your loose change. Up top, you have lighting and you have your garage door buttons, which are a pretty cool feature. But you know what? I think it's time to turn it off, teleport to the back seat, and see how we fit. I'm gonna save you guys the pain of watching me get into the back seat. Instead, I'll just be back there on the next clip. But you can drop the seat forward with that. The back passenger can escape with the handle right there. 10 minutes later. At 5'11", I'm pretty darn claustrophobic, pretty darn cramped back here. I almost got hung on the seatbelt, by the way. Barely an armrest, maybe maybe 1 centimeter width. My knees digging into my seating position. Actually, it's a little bit further up, so the driver would be actually being pretty generous right now to give me this much room. I'm sitting sideways, so this is my view. If I had to do this to go across town, I could probably survive. Could I make it across the country? Absolutely not. But you know what, guys? You don't even get an armrest in the center. And I can't even wear my hat back here. So that's what you can expect if you're an adult in the back of the Mustang GT. I'll be honest with you guys, I think my favorite part of this week is not gonna be leaving work from my day job doing physical therapy on Friday afternoon, but it's gonna be getting out of the back seat of this Mustang. I put the hazards on so you could see how cool those sequential taillights are, but also to know that I was in trouble and I needed some help. There's a few ways to open the back trunk area. There's a button underneath. Of course, there's the button on the remote, or you should have seen the button on the dashboard. We're just gonna use the button back here. It pops up, and 13.5 cubic feet is what you get in the back of the Mustang. If it's the fastback like this, if you go convertible, you lose a couple. There's no tie downs, no lights, nothing really to write home about, but you do get a tire repair kit down here, a little air compressor, and then some more storage. Where you guys gonna hide down there? Keep it legal? Put it in the comments, I wanna know. This is not legal advice, but there's absolutely zero doubt that it'd be more comfortable to ride back here in the trunk than in the back seat of the Mustang GT. And when you're riding shotgun, you still get the proximity key to lock and unlock features. The window drops just slightly when you open the door, and then you're in the land of ginormous door panels. Big doors, you gotta watch out how far they swing. Just check that out for an example. Mustang again on the door sill. Power seats, although you lose a few of the options. The leather looks fantastic, it's really nice. There's the ventilation holes, but there's no embroidery or stamping in it. And then you have cloth floor mats again, and a locking glove box, which is adequately sized. There's no plugins back there. Then you get your own vent, more ventilation as a passenger. But I know what you guys are waiting for. You want to see the Coyote engine. You want to see what it looks like under the hood. We're finally getting to that point. So let's pop the hood and check out what powers this monster. There it is. There's the bone stock bulletproof Coyote 5-liter overhead camshaft design V8 engine. You may notice it has a giant engine cover, but also it's just huge under the hood because of the overhead cam design in comparison to like a pushrod V8 that's still offered in all the Hemis, the LS, the LT motors. Those make a ton of low-end power. This does not. This makes a lot of power but higher up. In fact, it makes 460 horsepower at 7,500 RPM, 420 whopping pounds of twisty torque at 4,600 RPM. So you do need to rev it out a little bit to feel all the power that it offers. It's almost like an old school turbo of once you get going, it's linear power, but then it kicks in a little bit more as you climb, sometimes even breaking the tires loose. But it's a bulletproof design. It's in millions of F-150s. It's in hundreds of thousands of Mustangs. All the reservoirs are up top. Serpentine belt right under there. Air filter right there. Everything is basically easy to get to, easy to monitor. So with that said, let's drop the hood, take it on the road, and see how fast it is. Time for my favorite part. We're going to take it on the road and see how a herd of 460 ponies do galloping through the country. Initial driving impressions of the Mustang GT with the Coyote. It's a really fun platform, especially when you have it in track mode and those gauges light up purple the way this one's configured. Overall though, it rides well. Visibility is fantastic. A lot better than the Camaro. Maybe not as good as the Challenger though. But honestly, the way it looks in here is the way I feel like a pony car, a muscle car should feel. This premium GT really has a lot of nice amenities. Decent side mirrors. And because the cabin's not very long, the rear view mirror goes right through it. I like the round ventilation. I like the feel of the leather wrapped steering wheel. Having the toggle switches, I think it would be cool if you could go up or down, but going up through them, you know, it's kind of a nice cockpit, especially with the red start stop engine button. When you gotta get on the gas. A 10-speed overall knows what to do. There's a little bit of gear hunting when you're going slower, but overall it's fantastic. Shifts a lot faster than I could shift if I had the 6-speed. Also, with 10 speeds, the gearing of it has a wider range. So these are pretty quick, as you'll see in the 0 to 60, even when we're about a mile above sea level, like we are currently. It still pulls pretty good for what it is. Overall though, it's comfortable. The speaker quality is decent. It's not fantastic. I think just with the shapes in here, how the acoustics are, overall sounds fine, but it's nothing to write home about. It does have a lot of safety features, blind spot monitoring, you know, the cruise control settings. You do have enough to work with. Being able to do a full circle in under 40 feet, having over 5 inches of ground clearance, even driving through the country like this, it's pretty capable. We're probably not going to go off-roading, ride through a field like a Mustang truly would, but the Mustang by Ford on the road feels really good, feels pretty stable with a 9-foot wheelbase and weighing, you know, in the upper 3,000-pound ballpark. It does a good job. The seats are sort of aggressive for bolstering, but nothing crazy. They're definitely still in the factory category, but the leather's comfortable. The ventilation, it does okay. I feel like it could be a lot colder, but it at least cools you off a few degrees. And then our backpack's having a good time. I like the Mustang little logo right there. It just really feels like an old school muscle car in here, in my opinion and my perspective. I do wish it had the 3rd pedal and the 6-speed, but it's pretty quick the way it is. Definitely loses traction every once in a while once the RPMs build and the torque and horsepower come on stronger. In the lower part of the RPM band, it's not super punchy like an LS or an LT variant motor would be, but it just keeps pulling and it feels linear in my opinion. Overall, I'm having a good time. Honestly, guys, I've always been kind of a Chevy Camaro guy. But the 6th gen, although the Alpha platform is fantastic, the visibility and a few of the drawbacks that come with it make me not love it from a driver's perspective as much. The Mustang, on the other hand, whereas I've not always been a Ford guy, I've not always, you know, known how I've felt about them, some of the reliability things, how complex they make their powertrains, like all the EcoBoost stuff. And I like pushrod engines, but this overhead cam design, these Coyotes have been known to be extremely reliable. People are twin turboing these, supercharging them with big old Whipples, making like 800 horse on the factory block, and they're running flawlessly is just amazing. This 10R80 transmission is also really good. And then just how good the interior is combined with the sound of the Coyote, the visibility, revving well over 7,000 RPM. Honestly, I think the Coyote V8 GT Mustang is fantastic, and one that you guys need to drive, one that you should consider if you're looking for a pony car, if you're looking for a muscle car, you know, that can go 350 miles or more on a gas tank, compared to 25 to 35 miles like a regular horse, a regular Mustang in a day. I really think this is a cool vehicle, a cool platform, and Ford has done really well on this model. It's no surprise that they've sold anywhere from 50,000 to 120,000 of these every single year that the Mustang has been offered in this S550 chassis, and it's a good one. If you guys want to try to find one at a discount before the new gen comes out next year, go ahead, find one. They're disappearing since the last one has already rolled off of the production line. But overall, I'm having a good time. I'm liking the Mustang. It's very capable, very practical, and having that big old 5-liter truck motor in here makes it reliable. What are your thoughts? Comment below, but let's get to our private road and do a 0 to 60. 0 to 60 in the GT. We are in track mode. Density altitude's about 5,200 feet today, so we are at literally a mile above sea level equivalent. So this naturally aspirated 5-liter is down on power about 17 or 18%, so keep that in mind. Also, the private road is not a sticky drag strip, but we're gonna see what it can do. I'll verbalize the true 0 to 60, and then I'll post a GPS graph after. The bottom left shows without the foot of rollout the way it'd be rated by the magazine. Let's go. And true 0 to 60 came in at 5.07 seconds. Of course, there's about a second delay due to our elements, our road, and things of that nature. But let's cut to our final thoughts. Final thoughts of the 5-liter Coyote Mustang is it's honestly true and tried. It's a really good platform. I really like it, and I honestly like it more than I thought I would. I haven't driven a 5-liter Coyote Mustang in a couple years, and I forgot how well they were. And after driving all the other vehicles I've driven, I'm really starting to like it a lot more, especially with the premium interior that this has offered to us. It's really nice. It feels like an old school muscle car, even though it's a pony car. Basically, it's a modern day sports car though, with how well it handles. Since they dropped the live rear axle with this generation, they seriously handle so much better. Sure, there's still issues with people crashing into the crowds with their Mustangs, but it's getting less often. And honestly, that happens with any vehicle. Mustangs just get a bad rap for it. But you know what? Wrapped in this gray color, it looks fantastic, it drives well, it sounds extremely healthy, and I don't want to give it back. What are your thoughts though? Do you like the Mustang? Do you like the Coyote? Are you going to wait for the 7th generation, or are you going to try to grab one of these while you still can? If you're interested in this one, remember, I'll have it linked in the description below. And if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you want to watch more of my stuff. I post weekly, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.